So I like The Lord of the Rings so much that I got a Lord of the Rings tattoo right there. Now, don't be fooled by that. I got divorced a while back and I've been single for a while trying to date. And all I've got to say is this tattoo here, just like the One Ring turned Frodo invisible. I'm telling you, this tattoo, it turns me invisible to pretty much every hot woman out there. But, sorry, bad joke. But you can all still see me, right? I didn't think there were any hot women watching this video, so I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be seeing me here. Just a short introduction. This is my video channel where I review books. Today we're going to be reviewing Tolkien. Everything on my channel is pretty informal. It's just me talking. I am Brian Lee Durfee. I am the author of The Forgetting Moon, published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press, among other novels. And it's an epic fantasy. I write epic fantasy. You can buy my stuff on Audible, Amazon, any Barnes & Noble in the country. I'm out there. That's just the short plug for my stuff before I get into the review of everything J.R.R. Tolkien and Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I thought I would start at the beginning when I was a little kid, probably 12 or 13 years old, growing up in Sevier County, Utah. And if you want to know what Sevier County, Utah is like, it looks about the way it sounds. Sevier County. I mean, it is in the middle of the desert. There's nothing near it. Like Luke Skywalker on Tatooine, when I was growing up, I thought my hometown was if there was a center to the universe, Sevier County, Utah was the farthest place from it. I did not have much access to books. There was, a small bookmobile that would drive through town every once in a while, but I pretty much ignored it. I do remember, though, however, what sparked my interest in reading and artwork to begin with was my high school, junior high art teacher had a book, and I'll show it to you. It was called The Art of the Brothers Hildebrandt, and I've mentioned this book several other times on my video blogs here and about how it got me started in artwork and writing and everything. But as a teenage boy in Sevier County, Utah, I was captivated by the artwork in this book. And most of the artwork in this book is J.R.R. Tolkien related artwork. They illustrated the Tolkien calendars. You'll see one right here behind me. This is one of the Tolkien calendars that they did 1978. One of the other Tolkien calendars they did was the 1977 one, which I have here. As you can see, the whole calendar just fell apart in my hands. It's all over the floor. I'm sorry. But, they did this wonderful painting of Smaug. Here's another one of a scene from The Hobbit. The dwarves in Bilbo Baggins' home. I'll flip through this book here a little bit and find some of the Tolkien artwork. You've got the Fellowship of the Ring. Anybody that's familiar with the Brothers Hildebrandt knows a lot of this artwork. Eowyn and the Nazgul. Anyway, that was my introduction to fantasy. Was those pictures in the Art of the Brothers? Here's Rivendell. Show you. These guys were great artists. Greg and Tim Hildebrandt were their names. They were brothers. They both painted on the same paintings at the same time, and their paintings are massive. I've seen some of the original, and they'll fill a room. Some of the original artwork, they're that big, and they sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. But magnificent artists, both of them, and the artwork captivated me as a young boy, and I studied those paintings for a couple of years in art class in junior high before I realized, they were illustrations from books, and maybe I could get some of those books and read them, So what I did was I remember I was at the Safeway grocery store in Richfield, Utah with my mother. And I went to the book stand. It was just a little paperback book rack in the grocery store. And thinking, well, maybe they've got some J.R.R. Tolkien books. I didn't have any, I had no idea. But guess what? They had, and these are the original books that I bought, just so you know. This is my Tolkien shelf right here. We've got all of my different versions of Tolkien books. These are the original ones I bought that day in the Safeway, but since then I've got some collector's editions. Some really expensive, like $200 collector's editions, and different other versions of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. One of my best friends, Mike Drinkenberg, he illustrated this cover for the mass market paperback of the Silmarillion. So, you know, I've got some ties to some people that have worked on these things. But to get back to these original paperbacks, these are the original paperbacks I bought as a kid at the Safeway supermarket spiral book rack, paperback book rack as a kid. And each one of them cost about $3. And I think for $12, I went up with my $12 and bought these at the cash register. I was 12 or 13 years old. And I remember specifically the cash register lady saying to me, who would spend $12 on books? And I was a little taken aback. I mean, it was the first time I had ever bought books. It was the first time I was ever interested in anything like this. And I don't think I answered her. I think I probably just stood there like a dumb 13-year-old and paid for the books and left. But I always remember that Sevier County cash register lady in the Safeways was completely against me spending my hard-earned money. And it was hard-earned money. I mean, I had to work on my grandfather's farm, you know, milking cows and growing alfalfa and irrigating ditches and all that kind of crap. But anyway, that aside, I bought these books, and I remember reading the first one, The Hobbit, and just being absolutely mesmerized by every word in it. And look at that cover painting, that old Darrell K. Sweet cover painting. You know, they just don't do book illustrations like they used to. I mean, these old 80s Darrell K. Sweet, and if you're not familiar with Darrell K. Sweet and his work, if you've ever read The Wheel of Time, he did all the original Wheel of Time books. So I'm a big fan of his stuff. Now well, The Hobbit, you know, it was great. The Riddle Game, all of that stuff, it was fantastic. And you know, after once I got into college and I started to do illustrations for like Magic the Gathering and Iron Crown Enterprises, who did the old Lord of the Rings card game, I got to paint a lot of the scenes out of The Hobbit, like the Riddle Game with Bilbo and the Gollum, you know, with the Riddle Game. And I did a lot of the orcs. I did a lot of the spiders. I did a lot of the I did the Unexpected Party where Bilbo puts on the ring and vanishes. Kind of like I vanish when I'm trying to date girls with the tattoo. There it is again. Anyway, I got the Raiders on this side. So I have to represent my tattoos. My two favorite things in the world are reading and football. So I have to represent with the Tolkien and the Raiders. Denver Broncos fans are not welcome on this channel. Anyway, to get back to Tolkien, look at this other Darrell K. Sweet, The Fellowship of the Ring. Super painting. The Two Towers. And The Return of the King. Now, these are all in mint condition. I bought these when I was 13 years old. I'm an old man now. And I've read, when I was a kid, I would read these every year religiously. And the spine is not cracked. The pages are all clean. You know, I babied these books, and I baby all my books. One of my pet peeves is a cracked spine or a dirty book or any book that's really been touched by another human being just bothers me. So I keep everything in pristine condition. And I have since I was a kid. Now, as far as the review of the Lord of the Rings and the books, well, what can I say? They're classics. I think every word is just full of magic. I think that Tolkien wrote in a very poetic, King James version of the Bible type style. It's kind of archaic. It's kind of out of date, but that's what the charm of it is, right? I mean, that's why they're so great. You can't write that today. I know you can't write that today because I write epic fantasy, and if I turn something in like Lord of the Rings, they would say, get rid of all that archaic, poetic, purple prose. But that's why the Lord of the Rings is awesome, is because it's got all that stuff. And, a lot of people just think it's long and wordy, and some people don't get into it at all. Even modern day fantasy fans, they just can't read it. And I just think that's nonsense. You got to read it. It's just fantastic stuff. So let's say you don't want to read it. We have the movies. Ta-da, these are my extended edition versions of things. I watched these so much that they actually stopped working. I did not know that DVDs could stop working if they were watched too much, but they did. So I had to buy a whole nother set of the extended version. And, I'm happy again. I can watch them. If you don't want to read the books, you can always watch these. And believe it or not, there's some morons out there that think even the movies are too long and boring. I mean, I've got a friend who I was at a party and I was doing some one-liners from more Lord of the Rings and mentioning Gollum and just making everybody laugh, except for one of my friends was like, who's Gollum? And everybody looked at him and I looked at him. I was like, what do you mean, who is Gollum? I said, he's the evil character from Harry Potter. And we had him convinced for the whole party that Gollum was from Harry Potter. And he's still convinced to this day that Gollum is the evil guy in Harry Potter. But he doesn't like fantasy books. Well, whatever, to each their own. He's an idiot. What can you say? As far as other Tolkien things, now, I mentioned in some of my other videos that I used to do magic cards. Here's one of my magic cards I did. This is Blossoming Wreath from one of the old magic card sets in the late 90s, back when I was in college, and I used to paint this kind of stuff. But one of my other magic artist friends was Donato Giancola, and he's done a ton of illustrations, and he put together one of my favorite Lord of the Rings art books. I mean, if you can get your hands on this, it is astonishing, some of the stuff that he's done. He personalized it for me because, we go way back. We did a lot of conventions together back in the day, Gen Con and some of that stuff. And I met him at Kansas City Comic-Con not long ago again, and he signed my book. But these books are amazing. I mean, these illustrations he does, they're as good as the old Tolkien stuff that the Hildebrandt brothers used to do, those paintings that mesmerized me as a kid. You can see some of these things just... The book is full of both black and white and color illustrations that are just magnificent. And, like this beautiful painting of Gandalf and some of his other sketches that he's got there on the side, the black and whites. I was using, as bookmark for that book, I was actually using, and this is another self-promotion, bear with me, the German cover. That's the German cover of my novel, Der Mann des Vergessens, or The Forgetting Moon. And that one just went on the floor too, with the other pile of stuff that I've dropped. So, my review of Tolkien, other than talking a lot about myself, my review of J.R.R Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, I give books a 1 to 10 star reviews. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, all combined, all of them, they get 10 solid stars because they are just awesome. They're classics. Everyone needs to read them. Everyone needs a tattoo. Everyone needs to work out, get their exercise, get some muscles. Book 2, The Blackest Heart, by myself, came out about a year ago. I just thought I'd throw that up there. And I just turned in Book 3, The Lonesome Crown. Book 3 of the 5 Warrior Angels. I just turned that into my publisher, Simon & Schuster. It should be coming out soon. Beyond that, thanks for watching my videos. Subscribe below, and we will be doing a lot more books. I will be doing every Stephen King novel soon, and I will also be doing pretty much a lot more. I'll be reviewing some movies, some music, some heavy metal music that I like, some classic rock that I like. I'll be doing some reviews, and I will also be giving a writing advice. A lot of this channel is going to be writing advice. I've already got some videos up with that, and a lot of this channel is going to have a lot of the Comic-Con panels that I do with other writers, you know, like with Jim Butcher and Brandon Sanderson and all that. I've sat in on some great panels and I've recorded them. You can find those on my channel too. So please subscribe to the channel. This is as fancy as the graphics will ever be. I am not a professional video maker. We just have background stuff, but I appreciate you watching, and I am going to turn it off now.